Welcome, yogis. Lovely morning practice. And today we are going to have the essence of slowing down, caring and nurturing in this practice. That's going to be the theme throughout what we're going to do. Have that in mind, because sometimes the energy when we turn up together, that's more what we need. Whether we are physically a little bit drained or mentally drained from having stresses and frustrations. So let's just slow ourselves down. Begin lying or seated, whatever you would like. And I have a few things I'd love to read. I've been working my way through this lovely book, and it is pretty much the 8 limbs of yoga. And I'd love to just share sort of a little bit more about the essence of yoga beyond really just the stretches on the mat. So we've been talking about pratyahara lately. So you can close your eyes and just listen. Pratyahara is withdrawal of senses. So there are many ways to practice pratyahara. Some people like to use a specific yoga posture, such as Shavasana. Some use hand gestures, known as mudras. And other people may just close their eyes, cover their eyes and ears, and focus on the inner world. If you experiment too much with different ideas, you will find that your senses are dispersed. So it's better to find one method that works for you and stick to it. Experiment and then choose your prop and practice regularly within these boundaries. It's like practicing an asana over and over again. Although the structure of the pose remains the same, your experience of the pose deepens and deepens, which we've often said, I think. We do the same poses in yin, but the experience can be so different from time to time. And this is another lovely piece as well. So we never really encounter the world. What we experience is our own nervous system reacting to the world. Physics teaches us that everything is energy, and that at its deepest level, all things are interconnected. We see things as separate because of the limitations of our senses. The sense of separateness is an illusion. The self is beyond the senses. It stands apart, free and knowing. The experience, the self, this infinite reality beneath the world of senses. Our consciousness needs to shine inwards, away from external stimuli. This is a slow journey away from the duality of senses and the mind, to unity and stillness, to the soul that has poise. So as we practice today, becoming a little bit more inward and nurturing, we can take on this thought of pratyahara, of drawing our senses inward and really thinking about you as yourself. So, and I think that's what we need. What do you need today? So have a moment just to ground. Send your roots down. Take a lovely deep breath. Feel how that feels within yourself. And if you're already seated, that's fine. If you're lying down, just have a moment to hug the knees in, gentle rock, and join me in seated, and we'll practice our still, quiet mind. And we'll just have some silence today, following the breath, trying to be in the gap between thoughts, as and when. And just think about who you really are. We aren't our body. We aren't our mind. We aren't the emotions that we have. They come and go. So what are we really? What is the essence of ourself? And so let's open up the mind and see what inspiration comes through, what thoughts, what feelings come through with that thought today. So rest your hands, Dhyana Mudra, relax your body, loosen all the muscles in your face. Follow your breath and just be you. Think about what you need today, how you can look after you. Stay with your breath. If the negative mind comes in, just draw yourself back. Coming back to the breath. Exploring who you are in this moment. Following the rise and fall with your breath. Observing Pratyahara. Inward withdrawal of the senses. And let's just take another conscious breath here. Coming back. Notice if that went really quickly. For me, that Went really quickly, that 5 minutes. How do you feel? How do you feel inside after that? Just being with yourself for 5 minutes, with your thoughts, everything that you feel, just totally inward. It's lovely to come into that. So if you're on your cushions, just pop them aside. We're going to start with oyster. So bring your right leg to the front, and then I know that we're all in the same position, and then left leg behind. And rather than tucking under, just bringing the legs out, so almost like the lower legs are nice and sort of parallel with each other. You're going to feel this sort of around your hips. And then just gently, when you're ready, we can just lean into this. So if you want to close your eyes, you can just tune in to physically what you're feeling. Perhaps it's mostly around the hips. And as you relax your calf muscles, we can start to relax the head and the neck and upper body. You start to notice how the body softens and surrenders a little bit. Maybe there's a little bit more of a bend in your arms and at the elbow. When we physically softened, we can just gently draw our awareness to our breath. When you do that, notice if you change the way you breathe, whether you deepen the breath to the belly. In your mind, you can say, I'm relaxed. I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out. In, out, and literally allowing your internal dialogue to be fully focused on everything that you're doing. Just a suggestion. Explore your hips. Feet and ankles. Witnessing your thoughts. Perhaps checking in with the lower back. And only doing whatever feels right today. We'll take a few more breaths. Just check in one last time if there's a little bit of tension. And then gently lifting up. Even as we do this, even if your eyes are closed, you can tune into how it feels to loosen out of the pose, what it feels like around the hips and pelvis. Let's take neutral. And as we lie down, eyes closed, draw the senses in. And we can become aware where we're holding a little bit of tension still. how long it takes to let the back really relax. Draw the senses to the subtle body and any coolness or chi movement around the body. Perhaps on the inner parts of the knees and around the thighs, outer hips and buttocks. Is there a little coolness across the belly? Maybe the back can really relax a little bit more now. Noticing the temperature on any parts of your body where the flesh is exposed. Noticing any sounds around you. And then when you're ready, let's hug the knees in. Coming up into the other side of oyster with that same curiosity. So we'll bring that left shin to the front now. Take your time to get into it. It's always nice to, spend a few moments adjusting yourself, and then you can just really not think about anything else. If you need supports, use them under legs. And close the eyes. Gently find the pose. Relax the shoulders, breathing into your belly. What does this pose teach you today? You might be quite soft in this pose and have the ability to think to yourself, I can be gentle with myself. I don't always have to push and strive. I can explore but take it easy. As you gently breathe and maybe lean into this pose only a few millimeters more, what's your back saying? Can you feel the beginnings and ends of that stretch from where you connect to the mat, the buttocks? How the body, muscles and flesh stretch either side of the spine in the lower back. Perhaps you can relax your shoulders and upper arms a bit more. As you connect to your higher self in these poses, notice if you have a flood of colour in your mind's eye. Very often, my forehead, my mind is filled with a lot of purple and white. So as you kind of gaze into the void, with your eyes closed. Notice what you see. Gentle breaths. As you really start to notice and feel who you are. And we'll take a few more breaths, just witnessing this whole sensation. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And gently lift up. Let's find neutral. Resting down your body to your mat. The vehicle that we're in this lifetime. How do we feel inside this vehicle? Our true essence, without it ever being tarnished from life and conditioning, is really pure bliss, joy. So just noticing if we feel these glimmers of these lovely feelings that come through when we're connecting on a really deep level with ourselves. Enjoy your breath. Relax into every out-breath. Just feel the healing happening. Follow the coolness or warmth in your body, the chi. And just know that whatever we're doing, we're enhancing our organs, the immune system, our nervous system. Everything is healing by us just being gentle with ourselves. Let's give ourselves a little hug as we bring the knees in. Have a lovely deep breath. And we'll roll up. We'll come into amphibian. So onto bellies. And I'd just like you to be as low as you need to with this. Often when we come into Sphinx, I'll sink the elbows out a little bit lower so the kind of the base of the ribs is on the mat. Or you can use a little cushion. If you feel like you really need to be nurtured today, I'd use every bit of support that you can get your hands on. And then with amphibian, it's a two-sided pose. We're just going to draw that right knee up. So we are lifting that hip. The pelvis will become on a little bit of a tilt. You can extend your left foot out to the side. If this doesn't feel right anywhere in the lower back or the hip, or it's really uncomfortable, please, maybe just come into seal. See how you feel. And you can use a block for the forehead if you want to. We won't spend ages in this pose. But every pose gives us just an opportunity to inquire. If you're feeling a sensation in your lower back, just inquire. Can you relax a bit more to loosen it and enjoy a stretch? Checking in with your hips and knees. Gently breathing, relaxing your wrists and hands. Where do you feel the sensation most in this pose? For me, it's lower back. It might be different for other people. Lower back is sacral energy. So we can explore how healthy our relationships are around us. Whether we have good relationships, whether there is unrest, family, friends. Sometimes we can hold historic stuff in our body from issues decades ago. And just ask the wisdom of your body what we're maybe holding, if there is anything there. The lower back can be very linked with our feelings of financial stability as well. As you gently breathe, just notice if everything is starting to just sort of surrender and soften now. Enjoying a few more breaths. And we'll gently find our way out of this pose. You can either come onto your belly or roll onto your back, just so that you can really experience the neutral pose. I'm going to come onto my back. It's a bit more movement. But it's where, like I was saying earlier with Pratyahara, choosing that one spot, that one pose, or one way you use your hands as that reset point of exploring and observing. Any other pose for me, just I'm not in the same mind and observing mind. So just notice if that's the same for you. Shavasana just gives this complete opportunity to check in everywhere. The initial discomfort or tension you felt perhaps in certain places of the body, what does it feel like now? And maybe there's a lesson in that when we give things time, initially they might be uncomfortable or awkward for us, but in time we get used to stuff. things soften and become quite acceptable and perhaps even enjoyable, depending on our perspective. So as you breathe here, just enjoy whatever you're feeling. And then we'll come into the other side. Take your knees in. Enjoy a moment just to feel this lovely little transition, rock on the back, especially if it has been a bit tender in the lumbar. And then join me coming into the other side. Take your time. There's no rush. It's even lovely to observe how we transition into these poses. I'm going to use as much support as I want to again. So this time we just bring that left knee up. Grab a block for the head. And just take the knee as high as you want to. It might be really different sides, depending on how your hip joint opens either side of your body. It can be quite different in people. Lower your body down as much as comfortable so that you're not in any pain in the lumbar. And then just finding that initial tension, perhaps buttocks and lower back. And it might feel a little bit strange and slightly achy. Let's just see how it feels as we give it time. If the body is in a state of really holding here, really holding tension, where does that reflect in our life? What are we holding on to that we're really resisting letting go? So as we breathe here, just really loosen into the belly. Relax the shoulders and arms. Perhaps you can notice something's just getting a little bit easier now. Where can we release ourselves from emotional, mental torment? Sacral is very linked with our emotional centre. Can we think of our emotions like water, which is linked with this area, and just let them flow and find their own level? Keep looking for tension anywhere in your body. shoulders, fingers. Let go. Notice if you've enjoyed this pose, or whether you've moved through quite a few different feelings and emotions in these 5 minutes. So we'll take a lovely breath. And then really slowly, again, find the pose that allows you to observe that stillness. And moving really slowly, especially if the lower part of the back is a little bit tender from coming out of that. It is with me, so you'll see me move very mindfully. Observing everything that you feel as you just roll down. As we take these next breaths, notice perhaps the slight discomfort you had as you lie to the mat. And then as we just breathe here, everything starts to melt. And we get used to this pose. Breathe into the areas that need healing. Perhaps take a lovely blue light there. And you can invoke the energy of Archangel Raphael, which is a healing energy. Let's just take a few more breaths here as we really start to notice, and just a few more breaths to let everything soften. And then let's hug in. One leg at a time, nice and mindfully and slowly. And even as you rock, noticing what you're feeling. Bring the head up if that feels nice, just to stretch a bit more through the back. We're going to take supported bridge. If you'd like to use a block, you can use it on the high or the lower setting. If you've got a bolster, and I think I might use a bolster today because I want to be nurtured and feel softer. I'm going to use this. A stack of cushions will do, because that's going to be softer than a block. If you have got a block and you just feel like you want to have it on the lower level, quite often I will do that if I just want to lift the body but not too high. So if you have a bolster, literally just popping it under the buttocks just to create that lift. And you'll know if you want to just mildly adjust it. Let's take some time here. This pose, I find the tension in the inner thighs and around the groin, you can really feel, and also the shoulders, where you connect to the mat. Sometimes there's that sensation like the shoulders are really hunching to the ears, so keep relaxing there if you notice this. How tense are you on the inner thighs? Do you keep trying to draw the legs together? Just let them be wherever they want to be. And close your eyes if you haven't already. Relax the forearms, wrists and hands. Keep relaxing your shoulder blades. The neck wants to just naturally lengthen with the chin coming in perhaps. And just enjoy following your breath. You can feel without seeing how the belly and chest rise and fall. Working with more solar plexus in this pose. So energy that is linked with your self-worth. Confidence. Keep relaxing your buttocks and any parts of the back and muscles that you find tense. And enjoying perhaps how this feels on your back. So we'll take one more breath. And in whatever way is comfortable for you, lifting away from the block or your bolster. Moving that aside and literally Shavasana, neutral pose. As you lie here, have that kind of thought in your mind. What am I going to feel now? Where am I going to feel it? What feels different? How will this Shavasana feel from all the others? Notice how your breath naturally moves in the body, whether you're inclined to breathe softly or deeply. And as you lie here, I think the last pose is yogi's choice. Depending on how you're feeling in your body, in your mind, have a think about what position you want to be in next. It might be raising the legs, I was going to come into mantis or puppy, but you might want to choose turtle or have a few moments in banana either side. So draw your knees in, have just a couple of moments to reflect on maybe how your body wants to move. And if you choose one pose and it doesn't feel right, please move into something else. You haven't got to make that final decision. Just, we've been very, very connected to how we're feeling in this practice today. Very in tune with our inner thoughts and feelings. So ask your body, what do you need? What do you want? Do you need to curve the body, the spine forwards? Do you need to curve the spine back again? Maybe a different restful position. So I'm going to come into mantis. Mantis with a cushion. More support, more restfulness. If it doesn't feel right, just check in with yourself. Do I want to be in this pose? I've thought of it, I've come into it. Do I want to be in it? If you do, great. If not, shift. How are you naturally breathing? What's the deepest sensation that you feel and where? As you look through your body for tension, can you let go? What's on your mind? Witness your thoughts in this very moment. Just have a nice loving appreciation for yourself. I know sometimes that can feel a bit awkward to self-love, but if we break it down into loving our fingers, loving our hands for what they allow us to do, our feet and legs for moving us through life, loving our back and spine to support us in this upright position that we take, loving our mind for the ability to think and create wonderful memories, love our heart centre for the ability to love and receive it. And before we know it, we've covered everything as we work our way through, and we do love ourselves. It's just how we think about it. So let's take a lovely breath. Nice deep breath if that feels good for you, coming up. Nice and slowly feeling whatever you feel as you come out through your arms, back, legs. And take a couple of breaths in neutral. Was that pose the pose you wanted? Is your body pleased that you chose it? And just think what word comes immediately to mind, whether it is a yes or a no. Follow the chi moving around your body, the temperature change. Notice what feels lovely and freed up and stimulated. And then when you're ready, we'll come into relaxation. So cover yourself in a lovely blanket. Come to seated. Whatever feels good. Just the act of maybe putting a blanket round you, because you know that you either need a little bit of warmth or you just love that feeling of coziness and security, like someone's I always think of my guardian angel standing behind me, and I wrap its wings around me whenever I need a little bit of a cuddle with myself. All these very small acts of attending to self. So lie back or sit, get comfortable. I'm going to read you a lovely metaphor, a river metaphor, for these last 4 limbs of yoga. So I'll just cover that we've talked about pratyahara, which is withdrawal of the senses. Then we have dharana, which is focused attention, which we often do when we're focusing on our breath. Dhyana, which is meditation. And the 8th limb of yoga is samadhi, which is the self-realization. And what I'm going to read you just may allow those different words, these different Sanskrit words that you may or may not have heard, to blend and understand them more. So, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi can be compared to a boat journey on a river. When you set out on the boat, you leave behind the land, the trees, the bustle of community. Your senses merge. They begin to merge with the experience of the river. This is pratyahara. As the journey progresses, you become more and more detached from what you left behind, and more immersed in the rhythm of the water. You are floating, melting, gurgling. You feel the river in your veins, your flesh, in the taste on your tongue. This is dharana, the mental absorption. Dhyana, a state of meditation. This naturally follows. In this state, you and the river are one. The boat disappears. You are the river, dancing through light over reeds, across land. Then when the river finally flows into the sea, your I-ness completely disappears. This is samadhi, the dissolution of dictognomies, the boat, yourself, the river, the sea, all are one. And that's describing samadhi. So I thought it was a lovely little way of describing the little journey that we take when we sit in meditation, that withdrawal inwards and disconnect from the outside world. So just take a few moments now just to rest, a few minutes. So ever so gently now, you can just draw your awareness back from wherever your mind may have wandered just then. How do you feel internally? Are there moments where you feel completely blended with everything before we come back to duality of them, us, you and the outside? Notice those fleeting moments of just being connected to everything. So if you're lying down, just have a few moments now to stretch fingers, toes. Nice gentle hug in. If you're seated, you can just gently move. And just checking in with how you feel coming back into your day, whether there's been some light relief, either mentally, physically, or emotionally. So when you're ready, you can bring hands together. Join me, hands to heart center. Om Shanti. Namaste.